Okay, we are live and welcome to today's talk session of Can We Talk with Deidre Moss. My name is Deidre Moss and I'm the host of Can We Talk. I'm an educator, motivator, and a talk connoisseur. Last week we talked about Bohemian creatives. And while this is still an area that we will be focusing on this month, we will be shifting into another topic today. We will be talking about the topic of plant-based eating or plant-based dieting. I want to use the word correctly. And we know that this lifestyle is not for everyone. But as an all-inclusive platform, our goal is to feature topics that highlight the various aspects of our various diverse communities. So we invited Rhonda Wright today. She has a hands in a few things, so I'm going to allow her to introduce herself, but she is an individual who has embraced plant-based eating, and she's here to help us dissect this topic, among other things that she is. So at this time, I will pass virtual mic to our guest so that she can introduce herself.
Thank you so much. I appreciate being here. Looking forward to the opportunity. This is a great time of year to have this conversation because, we're still in the first month when people are top of mind in terms of resolutions and goals, and wanting to be healthy is usually one of the top. And so I think it's a timely conversation. And so thank you so much to all of the persons who are listening, either live or who'll be watching the replay. I am Rhonda Wright, the founder of Seedlings Place. And Seedlings Place is an organization founded in 2007, just after the birth of my first daughter. And the purpose of the organization is to support particularly busy moms, women, but all seekers of wellness, to incorporate more plant-based foods in their lifestyle, but also to adopt healthy lifestyles in general, and to take a holistic approach to being well. I am also a general administrator at a Careful International Academy, and so I've for the last 10 plus years had the opportunity to touch the lives of our children in that regard, while still spreading the message of eating well and being healthy. And I recently relaunched Seedlings Place after being away from it due to being at a Kefren for more than 5 years. And so as we are getting back out there to do our part to support the community, we want to support, inspire, educate, and to guide people, because we know that a lot of people want to be healthy. We know that most people desire to eat in a healthy manner, to engage in healthy lifestyles, but they don't always know where to begin. They need the support. They're looking for a community, and that is the role that I see through Seedlings Place want to play to bridge that gap. You made a comment when we started, and you said that it's not for everyone. And I actually want to change that perception, because you don't have to be 100% plant-based in order to see or experience gains in eating healthy and incorporating more plant-based food. So it's important for people to realize that it's not just for a niche or for a few people. All of us can benefit from incorporating more plant-based foods in our everyday, in our regular lifestyle. And so that is something that we want to assist people with doing.
Thank you so much, Ms. Wright. But before we begin our session, if you're tuning into our social media page and you just joined us, like and share this video. Subscribe to our YouTube channel using the links on our page. We need your support to continue these talks. Share, 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 and share. Also, if there's something that you think we should be talking about, feel free to let us know. We do want to hear from you. Let us know if you would like to advertise or sponsor our program. We're open to growing. And so with that, we're going to get into our talk. And so I want to ask you, Ms. Wright, about your background. Can you give us some insight into your background, and how did you decide to embrace the plant-based diet or lifestyle?
Yes, absolutely. Well, in 1999, 2000, thereabouts, I had my first exposure to a 100% plant-based food, to a vegan meal. And we'll talk a little more about the difference, or if there are any differences between vegan and plant-based. So I'm using the terms interchangeably, but we'll elaborate a little more about that. So I had my first exposure to a plant-based or 100% plant-based meal around 1999, 2000. And the person who made it is still like a brother to my now husband. And he actually had he was a vegan food, he was a vegan food chef and had a vegan food delivery service. I actually was visiting another friend who ordered the food, and I saw it and asked him, well, what is that? He told me about the company. I then decided, not immediately, but a while, because it intrigued me, right? It looked good. He said it tasted good, and he'd been ordering from them for a while. And so I decided a few weeks later, or a few months maybe later, to try it myself. So I called him up. His name is Sakani Nash. And I tried the food, loved it. It really was delicious. And I then decided at that time to continue to try it. And the more that I ate it, the more that I enjoyed it. And at the same time, Sakani, again, who was a very close friend, like a brother to my husband, as I got to know the entire community and got to know Koji, my husband, a little better, all of them, most of their friends were actually plant-based or vegan at the time. And so as I got to know them, I was immersed through their experience in the vegan lifestyle, just listening to them, hearing them talk, being around the food as I started to order from Sakani more often. But more importantly, in addition to enjoying the food, I decided to begin to research on my own, to learn more about all these things that they were talking about, learn more about the food that I was eating. And as I did that, Deidre, I was actually appalled at how little I knew and how little I understood about the impact of highly inflammatory foods, saturated fats, high intake of sugar, and just the impact that could have on my health. I also, through my research, because I really dove in, I became voracious about wanting to just learn more and understand about this. And of course, the more that I came across, just took me into a deeper rabbit hole. And I just could not deny what I was reading. In addition to the impact it had on my body, I was flabbergasted and just could not believe the impact of the agriculture industry on animals and what they had to go through to get to our plate. So learning all of this just took me down a path of wanting to know more. And the more that I learned, the more that I knew, I made the decision that I wanted to make some changes. I wasn't one of those people who was sick or ailing and then, had no choice, so to speak, or was guided by a doctor. It was really just based on what I was learning. It opened my eyes tremendously. And I just decided to, as they say, when you know better, you do better. And so I decided to make changes based on the new insight and the information, the knowledge that I was gaining. What made a huge impact was the fact that I, again, was around a community of people who were already on the path. And so that was a critical component in my success and the longevity of what I've been able to now adopt as a vegan, 100% plant-based lifestyle some 20 plus years later. And of course, so that was just my decision at the time. And then that was 20 plus years ago, but in 2007 is when Seedlings Place was founded. Again, like I said, after the birth of my first daughter, and that was as a result of wanting to be a greater support to the community, wanting to provide them, the community at large, my children included, with a safe space where we could come together to support each other on the journey, to learn together, to grow together, to enjoy and to eat together. And so we started with a monthly play/support group where any and everybody was welcome to attend, to bring a plate. We decided on an ingredient every month, and we prepared foods together And so we broke bread. And you did not have to be vegan to participate. Again, anybody who was interested, who wants to know more, who was just curious, or who was already on the path, but they wanted to come together with like-minded people, families, because children are a big part of why I do what I do as well. And so we came together in that fashion to support each other along the way. And so that's how Seedling Space was birthed. And then from there, we've grown into doing so many more things in the community as well, events and cooking classes, partnerships, a festival, one of a kind festival as well. And so we have, really done our part to contribute to raising the awareness, and we continue to do so today.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing your experience and how you would have made that transition, because you weren't always in that lifestyle, but yeah, somehow you made that transition. And so you talked about the impact. You did your research. You found out some things about how inflammatory the food that we eat impacts our body. And so as you would have made that transition, can you talk about the changes? What are some of the major changes as you would have transitioned that you would have observed as a result of undergoing or embracing the plant-based lifestyle?
Absolutely. So of course, it's now 20 plus years later, right? And so I've gone through a myriad of changes, not just in my body, but mentally, emotionally, spiritually. It's impacted really my entire life. And that's because my journey has expanded beyond just the food. But as I said, to take a holistic approach to being well. We are, health and wellness is multidimensional. And so we really can't and shouldn't focus only on the food. There's primary foods, which are components of our life that are off of our plate. And that can be our emotions, that can be relationships, that can be our career, joy, creativity. And then, of course, there are secondary foods, which is the food on our plate. And so my journey has expanded across the gamut of both primary and secondary foods. And so I've seen changes in all aspects. But if you want to start with just the physiological changes in the early days, the earlier years rather, definitely my taste buds would have changed. And I tell people why it's so important to be patient with the process, because oftentimes people will say, well, I don't eat greens, or I don't like, certain plant-based foods. And I was no exception. I did not like legumes, for example, beans, right? And of course, we know we have all types of beans. But growing up, I was that child who picked the peas out of her peas and rice every single Sunday as we had it. I refused to eat it. I did not like the taste. I did not like the texture. However, as I transitioned to veganism or to plant-based eating, again, because having an open mind is also important. And so I tried, and eventually I was able to appreciate and enjoy beans, as it's now one of the primary staple foods in my everyday lifestyle. And so my taste buds definitely changed. And that happens over a period of time as you fill the body with new things. Again, the body craves and desires what's inside. You're feeding the good bacteria or the bad bacteria. And so as you adjust what you're eating, your body adjusts as well. And your taste buds is one of those things that definitely goes through an adjustment. And so you can begin to enjoy things that you may not have enjoyed before, and respond, or I should say reject certain foods that you may no longer consume. So that was definitely a change that I've gone through. My skin was more clear. My weight is more normalized, not as much up and down. Now, again, remember, over 20 years, I've had periods where I've been on point, I've been doing exactly what I know I want to do, need to do. And then there've also been periods where I've been busy or stressed out, or, other things that, as they say, life is just lifing, right? And so I've had those periods as well where my wellness or my health may not have been at its best. So I've had periods when I've gained weight, or my face would break out because I wasn't, I was eating junk food, vegan junk food, or whatever the case is. So you go through many changes over the period of time. But definitely, I've been able to experience what it is to be at my best. And so I can compare that and feel it very quickly when I am not consuming the foods that my preferred ideal foods. And so it doesn't take long for my body to tell the story and for me to say to myself, all right, that's enough of that now, get it together. And so there are peaks and valleys. It's a journey. It's not a destination. And so once we remember that, we understand that we will, no matter where you are in your lifestyle, you'll definitely experience, many, many changes.
Thank you. Thank you so much for sharing that with us and talking about those changes that you would have seen in your skin. You're seeing changes in your weight, less, I guess you said, less weight fluctuation. So you would have seen some changes as a result of making that transition.
Many changes.
And especially being someone who is not in that lifestyle, you have to transition. So you had to get yourself adjusted from one lifestyle to the next. So, that definitely is a challenge. And so I want to ask you about the difference. Is there a difference between plant-based eating and the vegan lifestyle?
Yeah. So we tend to use veganism, just in general conversation, veganism and plant-based interchangeably. And from a diet perspective, there really isn't any difference between a vegan diet and a plant-based diet from a food perspective. However, veganism and its purest definition is a way of living that seeks to exclude, as far as possible, and practical all forms of animal cruelty. Cruelty in general to the animals, whether it is as a result of food preparation or through clothing or any other purpose, right? And so it speaks to being passionate and compassionate toward all other living or sentient beings. So veganism is a way of life that the objective is really to safeguard the well-being of all living things. And eating like a vegan, if you will, it means that you're avoiding meat, dairy, eggs, honey, and eat only foods or primarily foods from plants. Plant-based eating does the same, right? It's a diet based or derived from plants, including vegetables and whole grains, nuts, seeds, fruits, but with no animal products. The difference, or the primary, not difference, but the main thing that I want people to be aware of, and that is that the label vegan or being vegan does not automatically mean that you are eating a healthy lifestyle. Because you have many vegan foods, again, vegan food, just meaning that it doesn't have any animal additives, or, it's a plant-based food, right? But you have many vegan foods that are not not healthy for you, or if you eat it in excess, you can also have detrimental effects. And so if you're not eating a balanced or well-planned vegan food lifestyle, it's very easy to not be healthy. And so that's very important for people to understand, because when they hear the word vegan, they automatically assume, well, they must be eating a healthy lifestyle. And, in the extreme circumstances, you hear of people who may die, who are vegans or who are highly health conscious, and it poses a negative light. People may say, well, what's the point? Well, again, as with all things, you need to be intentional and again, approaching it from a very balanced perspective to ensure that you are incorporating and receiving all of the nutrients needed, because there are a myriad of unhealthy vegan foods out there, lots of vegan junk food. And of course, in today's market, you have, the companies now, again, follow the money, right? Capitalism has now found veganism or plant-based foods to be very lucrative. And so you have a lot of products that are on the market that are technically vegan, but they may not necessarily be the best for you, especially if you're eating it in excess. So it's just for people to be mindful of that as, as they proceed. And so for me, I do consider myself vegan, because in the beginning, it was primarily for my health. That's why I made the shift. And as I continued on in my journey, I adopted the full aspect of the vegan lifestyle in terms of wanting to reduce or minimize cruelty to animals, right? However, when I describe my food lifestyle. I am vegan, but I like to say that I am I eat predominantly alkaline, whole foods and 100% plant-based foods. So there are different levels or different ways that you can structure a plant-based food lifestyle or a vegan lifestyle. Again, vegan and plant-based from a food perspective, they do represent the same thing, but vegan as a way of lifestyle, primarily for ethical reasons as opposed to for health. As a matter of fact, more people globally transition to veganism for ethical reasons as opposed to for health purposes. So again, ensuring that you're healthy while being vegan is also a very intentional and conscious decision that one decides to make.
Thank you, Mrs. Wright, for providing clarity, especially for persons who may not understand. Because when you hear the word vegan, you would assume, for persons who may not know, at least for me, who I may not fully understand that, when you hear that buzzword, you would think, oh, everything's healthy, everything's good. Once it's vegan, you could eat that, you eat that, because You're assuming that it's a healthy lifestyle and it's a healthy choice. But I'm glad that you were able to provide clarity on that. So thank you for sharing that. And also, I just wanted to share, sometimes I put my head down just a little bit because I'm going through these comments. So I see that persons are with us in this live video. And so if you have any commentary or any questions, please feel free to let us know. We would love to hear from you. I think Nikki is here from Trinidad and Tobago, my friend. Hi, Nikki. Thank you so much for joining us. And so if you have any comments, please let us know. We do want to hear from you. And Nikki is one of those persons who always shares insight. And so Nikki, you're my girl. Thank you for joining us. We want to hear from you. Please put your comments there. So if you see me looking down, Ms. Wright, I'm going through these comments as well to get those comments back to you. But I am so glad that you provided clarity, because like I said, for persons who may not understand, when you hear that word vegan, you're thinking healthy. And I didn't even know you meant, I never knew there was junk food, vegan junk food. I never knew.
Absolutely. And we know them, right? We just don't, because again, it simply means that there's no animal, it's not from an animal, or there's no animal derivative. So what are some vegan foods? Some vegan junk foods, for example, chips, plain Lay's potato chips or Ruffles potato chips, Oreos, for example, corn chips. And of course, we have a lot of meat analogs now that are out there. You have vegan ice cream, you have vegan cookies, you have a number of vegan foods out there that, can fall into the category of vegan junk foods, or, as I said, vegan replacement foods for the mainstream animal options. And so you just want to be mindful. And that's why I take the approach of being specific when I'm encouraging people to eat plant-based foods, and that is to focus on whole food plant-based, right? As much as is possible, whole food plant-based, reducing the highly processed foods, reducing the sugars, reducing the saturated fats, and in so doing, it really helps to bring a greater balance to what it is that we're consuming. And again, you do not have to desire or even to transition to 100% as I may be. Making small changes can make a big difference over a period of time. But I think that research, and certainly the statistics of our country, which is synonymous with what's happening in the world, speaks directly to the lifestyles that we are living, from food to the stress levels and the fact that we're not managing them well, to the emotions that we have, to the environments that we find ourselves in, that we really do need to pay closer attention to what it is that we're doing. We're putting in our body, on our body, where we're finding our body, again, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, all of that, because certainly statistics are speaking to us in regards to the level of non-communicable diseases that we're experiencing, and the level of stress and the mental health issues that we have. All of those things are a direct correlation to the lifestyles that we live. Again, it's said that 60 to 70% of the diseases that we experience are a result of lifestyle. And so, whereas particularly in the Caribbean or in the Bahamas, we grow up thinking that, genetically, based on my parents, my grandparents, and whatever ran in the family, they had it, so I'm almost doomed to get it. And absolutely not. Epigenetics, which is the study of our environment or takes our environment into consideration as it regards to our health, indicates that we have great control over our genetics and can change the makeup of our genetics based on what we do, based on our environment. And so, no, our DNA is not a death sentence. We absolutely can make changes and to improve and or to eliminate even the possibility of us becoming another statistic or another person in our family to carry on, as they say, the ailments that run in our family. And yes, the ailments run in our family, but really what it is, it's the eating habits and the lifestyle habits that run in the family that we need to focus on and seeing where we can make adjustments to improve or I should say to reduce, the likelihood of us also falling down that path.
Oh boy, and we do have a long way to go because some of our staples are loaded with those bad things. So for you, Nikki, you guys call it macaroni pie. We call it macaroni. We just call it macaroni, but you guys have the macaroni pie. That's the butter, cheese, the cream, everything else added, everything in the pot, right? So our staples are usually, are not the best. And so we got a long road ahead. But I want to ask you about the benefits. What are the benefits of embracing a plant-based diet, a plant-based lifestyle?
Wow, there really are so many, and I spoke to a few of them just in terms of my own experience. Definitely protection against, diseases. I've raised my children as vegans as well. My oldest is 19. I have a 15-year-old, a 13-year-old, and an 8-year-old. My husband, as I said, it was really through his community of friends that I was introduced to the vegan lifestyle. So he was already vegan when I met him. And so he's now going into 28 years as a vegan. I'm 20 plus. Our children are raised that way. And hands down, and my children have spoken to it as well as they have actually recognized it also. My family and I very infrequently experience the usual symptoms due to chronic inflammation, like persistent infections, gastrointestinal issues, weight gain, ongoing body pains. No one in my children, my husband and I, we've never been diagnosed with a non-communicable disease. So thank goodness we've never had high blood pressure, diabetes, cancer, any of those type of ailments which are prevalent here in the Bahamas. My children have always had an abundance in terms of energy, always high energy. And, you'd have their teachers make comments like, well, geez, if they're getting natural sugars, I can only imagine if they were eating processed or refined sugars, always highly energetic. But we realized that one of the things that, that has been very obvious is that we do not become sick as often as those around us. Our children are not sick as often as their friends. They've made that observation themselves. There's a wider nutritional base. Studies again will have found that a low-fat vegan diet can be beneficial in helping to increase the intake of nutrients and antioxidants, all those things that help to ward off or protect the body against disease. And so you have a wider nutritional base when you're focusing on whole plant-based foods, and the intake of nutrients is higher also as a result. And like I said, there's also generally a reduction of some of those other things that we talked about, saturated fats, etc. There's less exposure to chemicals as well, and so you tend, because we know that the way that food is produced these days, you almost can't avoid, unless you're making again an intentional and conscious decision to purchase the organic foods, chicken and other things, and organic eggs, etc. That it's going to be a very high likelihood that it's been exposed to pesticides, and other things in order to get to the food store, right? And so when you are, and not that eating plant-based foods eliminates that, because we have what you call the dirty dozen. So there are certain foods that have a higher exposure to pesticides and other things that are used to grow the food. But then you also have a lower exposure to those types of things, because it's not as prevalent in terms of growing fruits and vegetables. So again, it's just being aware of which of those foods has a reduced exposure to that. So there's less exposure to chemicals, and not just with the food, but through our lifestyle. And as we've learned and made adjustments in our lifestyle, again, holistically across the board, we've also made intentional decisions to select more natural products as it regards to the cleaning products we use at home, the bath and body products that we use, the makeup that I use.
I'm glad you mentioned that, because when you'd be thinking with talking just about food, but you're moving into other areas as well. So,
absolutely.
So even moving away from the bath and body.
That's one of the changes I would say that I've also experienced. Deciding to transition my food lifestyle was a catalyst to again becoming more aware of health and wellness as a holistic practice and a way of life, not just with the food, but in other areas as well. And so it's impacted my family across the board. And as I coach and guide and support people, and even with the programs that I have in more recent times, it's definitely taking a holistic approach. It's not just all about the food, while that is a base, and it is an area where we can see major improvements and changes in our health and wellness, because of course we're taking in, what we put in our mouth makes up a lion's share of what it is that we're doing on a daily basis. So we are either exposed to a wide range of not so good things, or we're exposed to a wide range of things that are beneficial to us through our food. So it's easy to make a huge impact through the food. And that's one of the first, one of the main areas that people will gravitate toward to begin. But it is important, as I said earlier, that we don't stop there, because you can, eat as much greens as you want and as much smoothies and all the fruits and vegetables. But if you're still stressed out every day, you're unhappy, you're angry, if you're still surrounded by toxins in other ways, and if you're not resting as you should, you're not hydrating as you should, not getting enough vitamin D through sun exposure, all of those things impact us and our health and wellness just as much as our food. And so it's very easy to take a one-dimensional approach to our health and wellness. But as I said, a multi-dimensional approach is paramount for optimal wellness, because all of those factors affect us one way or the other.
You hitting some heavy points. And that's important in what you're talking about, taking a multi-dimensional approach, not Absolutely. Just a one-dimensional, because we sometimes just think, okay, if I just address the food issue, then I'll be straight. But Exactly. You're talking about a whole shift.
Yeah, we tend
rid of those toxins and chemicals. Yeah. But I want to actually bring this comment to you. Nikki is asking. Nikki made a comment. She said Nikki is from Trinidad and Tobago. She's in agriculture. She's a green. She has a strong green thumb, and she's saying, we have to be careful of the chemical levels in our plants. Though, do you have any?
She is correct. Okay. As I said, there is, and you can Google it. There is and forgive me, I don't remember the name of the organization, but as I said, eating plant-based foods doesn't mean that you are not exposed to chemicals. You absolutely can be, and there are some that use a higher level of pesticides and other things to grow them. Strawberries, for example, apples, for example, and because the skin, particularly on strawberries, is so porous. You have to be very careful about cleaning it as best as possible and or purchasing organic. So there's it's called the Dirty Dozen. So there's a list of foods that you can find online that have a higher level of pesticide exposure. Again, based on
Can you tell us a little bit about the Dirty Dozen? Because you mentioned it before. I mean, can you just touch on a few of those in the Dirty Dozen?
Certainly. So and I don't remember all of them, but the Dirty Dozen is a list of fruits and vegetables that are published that that based on the growing process, they have a higher level of exposure to pesticides and herbicides and other things that are used, chemicals, toxins that are used in its growing process. And so anyone can search it online. As a result of that, it is recommended that those particular fruits and vegetables you consume the organic option as opposed to the non-organic option, just so that you can minimize your exposure to it. You know, and again, so that's the ideal. We recognize that not everybody may be able to do that for various reasons. And so you're still encouraged to get the fruits in regardless. But the ideal circumstance, if you are able, is to purchase the organic option of the Dirty Dozen.
Thank you so much. I want to thank Vivian Pitter as well. Vivian Pitter is from Jamaica. Hi, Vivian. Thank you. I haven't seen you in a while, but good to have you. But I saw you before, but good to have you joining us today. She's saying great topic, Miss Wright. So
Awesome.
Feel free to give us your comment, Ms. Pitter. We love to hear from you.
So I just quickly pulled it up because I wanted to name a few more. So some of the items on the Dirty Dozen, as I said, I know strawberries is almost top of the list. You have spinach, kale, collard and mustard greens, nectarines, apples. I mentioned that. Grapes.
This is the Dirty Dozen?
This is the Dirty Dozen. And again, so you have the Dirty Dozen, but then you also have the Clean 15. Right? Again,
oh, wow.
You can Google these yourself. So the Dirty Dozen, again, are those with the most pesticide exposure. And the Clean 15 are those fruits and vegetables that have a lesser or maybe no pesticide exposure. And so it's encouraged to eat more of the Clean 15, or I should say it's okay. It's suggested that it is okay if you're not able to get the organic version of the Clean 15, but it is highly recommended to seek to get the organic version of the Dirty Dozen. So what are some of the Clean 15? There's sweet corn, avocados, pineapple, onions, papaya, sweet peas, asparagus, honeydew, kiwi, cabbage, mushrooms, cantaloupe. Those are just some of the items that are on the Clean 15. Mangoes, watermelons, you know, and so for somebody who is just transitioning, you know, there's so much information out there. It can become overwhelming. You can become confused. And so I try to encourage folks to continue to learn, to continue to dive in and attach yourself to whether it's a health coach or a community of people similar to, again, that's why Seedlings Place was created, so that we can come together and learn and grow together, right? So attach
yourself. We're gonna need you to come back because this is a lot. No, this is a lot. This is some information. We need to take this because it's a lot. And
it is
for someone who does not have the full understanding. Like I'm gonna say, for me, you would think that kale would be, I would never imagine that kale would be amongst the Dirty Dozen. I just can't.
And that is only from the perspective, and not when I say only, to your friend's point, you want to minimize your chemical exposure in general, food or otherwise, but food is a great big bucket area to do that. However, I wanted to reiterate that again, before you get caught up in that, because it's easy to just, well, what should I do? What can I eat? Oh my goodness, I can't eat anything. Then you do nothing. Again, when that happens, go back to the basics of whole food, plant-based eating. And what does that look like? Lots of fruits and vegetables. At this juncture, if eating organic is just not an option for you at this time on a wide scale, don't worry about it. Just get the fruits and vegetables in. Eat in season, eat fresh, reduce the highly processed foods, the high sugary foods, the high saturated fat foods. But even if you're not ready to give it up, I like to tell people to add. Focus on adding first. And as you do that, believe it or not, it has what they call a crowding out effect. So the more water that you add to your everyday, the more fruits that you decide to eat, let's say first thing in the morning, what is going to begin to happen is that's going to reduce your cravings, reduce your desire for other foods. You may not be as hungry. You may begin to crave more of the fruits and vegetables that you're eating when you begin to increase the whole food plant-based options. And so that's where I always want to guide people to begin. Even before you got to figure out, well, what can't I eat? Let's just focus on what you can eat. It's a lifestyle of abundance, not one of feeling like I am, having to starve or having to sacrifice and give up everything. When we move with that mindset, it takes away the fun. It makes you feel defeated, and you're less likely to go at it in a positive, motivated way. So focus on adding first. Just get it in. Just start wherever you are and then go from there.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. So what about, I'm going to be devil's advocate and I'm going to say, what about persons who say, you're telling us to transition to whole foods, but, it's cheaper to keep us. It's cheaper to get the bad food sometimes. The health, the health lifestyle, that's expensive. What would you recommend? What would you recommend in that case?
Yeah, and so that is another very big misconception. And why do I say that? The cost of living is high in general. So let's start there. Whether you're vegan or not, it doesn't matter what it is that you're consuming in this day and age, prices are going up. So that's number one. Number two, again, studies will show that over a period of time, when you are taking the same dollars that you're spending on some of the types of foods that we listed that have things that aren't tremendously beneficial for you, and you spend that on whole food plant-based options, again, when you get guidance and you know what you can purchase and what you can prepare, again, that's why the community and the support is so important. Over a period of time, you can actually spend less. And I know that's hard to believe, but you truly can actually spend less. And why is that? Eating a vegan food lifestyle can absolutely be expensive, depending on what you're eating. If you are eating packaged foods, a lot of the meat alternatives, you're buying a lot of the sauces and a lot of the other things that aren't necessities, it absolutely can become very expensive. However, when you stick close to the basics, again, go back to the basics, the whole food, plant-based food, the greens, the legumes, the seeds, again, increasing healthy hydration, whole grains, then you definitely can see not just a shift in the overall spend in your grocery. And I'm not saying this based on what I think. I'm saying this based on what I know and also based on feedback from persons who have gone through some of my programs who have said that they've been surprised that they actually spend a little less. It's not as expensive as they thought, right? You just need to know what to prepare and how to shop in order to ensure that you are getting the bang for your buck and maximizing your dollars. And let's be real, Deidre, when you talk about foods, and I tell any and everybody, I'm sure, again, vegan or not, all of us from time to time, some more than others, eat fast food, right? I have no doubt about it. When I pass Kentucky and Wendy's, the line is usually doubled up. So all of us are eating that. Now, if you could eat Wendy's, I'm going to use it as an example, and this is not a knock against Wendy's because I like Wendy's fries every once in a while. That's the only thing, the main thing that I can eat from there, right? But the reality is, if you are going to be purchasing, and usually you're not purchasing just for yourself, you're talking about for a family, a combo is no less than $10. And if you're buying for a family of a husband and wife, or, male and female and 2 children, that's $40, $50 when you add back right off the bat. So let's really analyze and be honest about how we're spending our money, what we're spending it on, and if truly it is more expensive to eat this way, meaning to eat plant-based or healthier food options, or is it that we haven't prioritized it to shift our dollars where our body, mind, spirit, all of that can benefit in a greater sense. So that's a real hard question that we have to ask ourselves. And then finally, on that point, at the end of the day, when we consider our health and what we're spending our money on to acquire it, we also want to shift our mindset from the fact that this is an expense, but this is an investment. There is no greater investment that any of us can make other than our health, because our health, when it is sound, when we are well, mind, body, spirit, heart, home, and environment, those are the 6 pillars of wellness that I like to speak to, and I speak to in our programs. When we are well, we are then truly able to manifest, to reach all other goals and any other goals, desires that we want. The purpose that we are here can truly manifest at its highest level when we are well, when we are energized, when we have vitality, when we are sharp in our mind, when we are mobile, right? All of those things speak to our ability to meet the goals and desires, to acquire all the other things that we want. And if we think that eating well or being well, investing in our health and wellness is expensive, I want anybody who has experienced a chronic ailment, whether it's diabetes, whether it's cancer, whether it's even a child who is chronically ill all the time, and the amount of time, energy, dollars, right? Lost sleep, stress that we spend when we are ill versus when we are well. I think ultimately the desire and the final decision when it's all said and done would be that it is worth the investment, even if it is a little more expensive in the immediate, to acquire that long-term saving in dollars, stress, time, right? And just to be here for what is paramount and important to us in the long term. So that's my response to that question, which of course I get all the time, but from several angles. When you analyze it, ultimately, it still makes more sense. And in the long term, you can spend less in the grocery store, depending on the mix of foods that you are eating.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Ms. Wright. I was going to jump in and play devil's advocate again, but you circle around me. I couldn't catch you. I couldn't get to you. But I was going to say, sometimes you can go to the fast food place and get a meal deal, because you talk about the whole family and it's expensive, but you can get a deal versus, spending all that money for all the healthy food. But, you make perfect sense. At the end of the day, when we put everything together and we realize what you can spend, when you find yourself in an unhealthy situation, or you find yourself being ill, is in the balance, it's better to just try to take those steps to take on a more healthier lifestyle. And
absolutely. And the reality is, Deidre, that's it. Same $40. I can take that $40 and I can make a full meal for my family of 6 that could last us minimum a day and a half. You just need to know what to purchase. It will give us nutrition. It will fill me up.
But that's the thing. Some people don't know what to purchase, right? Some people need that. I mean, like you said, you did your research, but for others, they may just need some help. They may need some guidance, and knowing what food groups, what it is, what do I need, what's going to be in my best interest. Some people
absolutely, and that
need to carry their hand sometimes.
Yes, and that's why I'm so passionate about this, because I realize
I heard your passion.
There are very real barriers, but Seedlings Place is on the ground to help people to move past those barriers, because ultimately I want people to know, those who want it, those who are ready, that it is possible. There is very few other goals and desires that we have in our life that doesn't require intention, time, talent, and investment of dollars to achieve it. And so being healthy and being well is no different. It definitely requires you to, first of all, show up for yourself. Second of all, to make the decision that this is what you want, and then decide how you're going to manifest that. Make the mental commitment to that decision and then execute. And with the execution, you want to surround yourself with the tools and the expertise that can help you to successfully transition to incorporating the lifestyles where it can become a lifestyle and for the long haul. So approach it as such, not a short-term fix, but approach it as a lifestyle change.
Oh, I definitely hear, thank you for sharing that. And I definitely hear your passion, Ms. Wright. You are definitely passionate about this. But I want us to get into our Fast Talk segment. And I want us, definitely, I'm going to have to bring you back because the information that you're sharing, we really need to break this up in, something palatable because it is a lot. It's a lot of information. Yes. But I want us to get to our Fast Talk segment and I want to ask you, what is one major thing that you've gained as a result of embracing plant-based lifestyle?
Hands, again, so many, but hands down, a higher quality of life. I just turned 50 December 31st, and I know factually, again, firsthand, that the state of health that I have at 50 is a direct result of my lifestyle. The health and state of that of my children is a direct result of their life. Doesn't mean that I've never not felt well or never, been sick. Of course we have, but it's minimal and it's not been extreme or chronic. But I know that I am
60 seconds. You got 60 seconds.
Oh, go ahead. Next question. Go ahead.
What is your view?
Quality of life.
Thank you. What is your view of the Bahamian diet and our popular food staples? We got some good staples, but just ain't good. They good, but they ain't good. What is your view?
So we know that that food is a major component of what makes up the culture of a people. And of course, we know what the foods that we have as a part of our culture. And I love them, grew up eating them just as everybody else. I think, though, again, that the studies are showing that we need to ensure that we are either, again, adding those greens, adding those vegetables to bring a balance, or to reduce some of what it is that we're eating so that we are here for the long haul. Right? So add it and bring more balance, bring more balance and reduce some of what it is and find healthier ways to prepare it.
Do you miss those non-vegan dishes? That's right. Do you miss
Actually, them? I don't, not anymore. I'm long past the stage where I crave or I miss non-vegan foods. And the reality is, the beauty is the options that are available today. I didn't have as many options 20 plus years ago, but the options that are available today that can substitute and provide, first of all, it's a wider variety, but you have so many options that can provide you with the same very similar tastes and textures, which is what we miss the most when we make that transition. And I remember a saying, someone said that taste is just a memory. It's just a memory. So you could create new memories with the foods that you eat. And so, no, I don't miss it.
All right. What is one major change that people can make in that transition? Because that's hard. You grew up, it's one thing, you had those, your kids, and, you raised them in that, but to live one lifestyle and transition to another, how can a person make that change?
Well, remember, I made that change. I grew up eating, foods just as everybody else did. And so the suggestions that I would make, as I said, approach it as a lifestyle, not a short-term fix. You'll develop long-term habits and patterns that will stick. Be clear about your why. Why is this something that you want to do? Because that why is going to help to serve as a foundation and to motivate you on those days when it's going to be tough. And when you're asking yourself, what the heck am I doing this for again? That's going to happen. So be clear about your why. Don't worry about the how just yet. Learn that as you go. Don't let that stop you. Just get started. Don't worry about the how. If you become overwhelmed, go back to the basics. That's what I said earlier. Focus on the whole food, plant-based food options, your fruits, your vegetables, nuts, seeds, legumes, fresh in season. So go back to basics. Connect with a community of people who are interested in the same thing as you so that you can get a greater level of support. That was a massive foundational point or aspect of my journey that has helped me to this day.
Okay, we want to stay in that 60-second
okay,
bubble.
no problem. Go ahead.
Okay.
Forgive me, I am long-winded child. That's one thing
That's
that being
okay.
myself didn't
That's
take away.
okay. No, that's fine. That's all right. Now, who would you recommend to embrace the plant-based lifestyle?
Everyone, every single person walking. Remember what I said at the very beginning. This is not about everybody or me telling everybody that you must go 100%. But again, our lifestyles is such that it is very clear in this day and age. Studies have shown us that consuming a higher level of whole food, plant-based foods will reduce our exposure to disease and help to protect the body. And so whether you are a baby, and again, I raised my children as such, but whether you are a baby or you are 80 years old, if we all want to age gracefully with mobility, motility, vitality, and full cognition, then that is definitely something that we all want to consider. Add those fruits and veggies to your diet. Eat the rainbow.
Thank you. Oh, powerful. Eat the rainbow. Thank
Absolutely.
you so much for engaging with us in our Fast Talk segment. And I want to thank Nikki. Nikki said, listen, just grow the food yourself if you can. Okay, Nikki. Nikki has a green thumb. Okay?
That's a great point, though. I'd love to have that conversation. Yes.
Yeah,
and that is why other islands do not suffer as we do, because part of their culture is eating from the ground. And so that is a very good point, Nikki. Thank you.
And so I want to, as we come to the end of our session, and again, I'm going to welcoming you back. You're a friend. You're welcome back. I just want to ask you if you didn't get to say anything, is there anything else that you would like to add before we close the session?
You know, we've said a lot, as you said, and it definitely can be a dense conversation, but I try my best to keep it as simple as possible. And so the main thing that I want people to know is that it is possible. That's the bottom line. 20 plus years in, I have no regrets. Again, you do not have to be 100% if that is not your desire, but just get started. Just get started. Because when you begin the process, a journey of 1,000 miles begins with just one step. And those small steps, those micro behaviors and patterns that you are adjusting, they matter. And they make a difference. So just get started.
Thank you so much, Ms. Wright. I just want to get to Anthony's comment. He says our stores need to sell more whole foods. Do you have any reaction to what he commented?
So our food stores, which is where most of us shop, they definitely sell whole foods, because what are they? Those are the foods that are not processed or minimally processed. Again, go right back to your fruits and vegetables. Food stores have those things, right? But we don't have to be limited to the food stores. You have your farmers markets and your little small mom and pop stores as well that also provide options that we may not be aware of. So I also want to encourage people to do that. Step outside of the norm and be okay with stretching yourself to check out some other options for your foods.
Thank you so much, Ms. Wright. You brought so much information to us today. I certainly learned a lot of information. When the buzzword vegan, I thought everything was healthy, but I learned that you have vegan junk food. You have all these things going on. So, you brought some vital information, and I definitely would love for you to share information that can help benefit our community, because this is what it's all about. We are a country that is impacted by non-communicable diseases, even within the Caribbean region as a whole. So these are things that we definitely need to look into and discuss. How can we progress as a community, as a culture, because our food is our culture, as you would have mentioned, and we don't always make the best choices. And so how can we move forward to create a better, healthier version of ourselves and for our future generation? And so these are the conversations that we do want to have. And so we definitely invite you to come back on to further break down and share information that all of us are not privy to. You did the research. Yeah, some of us, we haven't done the research. And so if you could share, you pick your brain and you could share that information. Absolutely. We would love that.
That is why I'm here. That is my life's purpose. And again, that is why Seedlings Place is here to provide that support, to bridge the gap, to raise the awareness, and to inspire, and to guide people toward making the changes that they really desire. People know what to do, they just need the help to get it done.
Yes,
and so
definitely.
I encourage anyone to follow our page. We have an upcoming program that's going to be starting on the 18th of February. It's an online program. And again, I've taken my 20 plus years of research and information, the best practices of what my family and I have done, and I put it in a 28-day online program for the same reason, because I understand what those barriers are. And so I've done my best to provide that in a format that is, that's immensely beneficial based on the feedback that we've gotten over the last several cycles that we've had it.
Seedlings Place, and you can register on the page, or the information is there to register.
Yep, they can find Seedlings Place, excuse me, on Instagram or Facebook, and the link is in the bio. And when you go to the link, it'll take you to the sales page, where you can read up all the details about the program. You can learn what it's about, and what it will offer you, how you can benefit from it. And yep, you can go ahead and you can register. And we begin as a group on the 18th of February, so you have time. And because I just turned 50, I'm also offering a discount. It's valued at almost $1,000, but I was offering it for $297. But we're offering a 25% discount until the end of January. So now is the best time to go and register. So that you can take advantage of that as well. So 28 days. I am there we have a WhatsApp group. There's a private online portal. So I'm available and accessible every day via the group, answering questions, supporting, inspiring. And again, there's lots of information, videos, there's a recipe book, lots of stuff available to help you to make that transition, and just to get a boost, a reboot, and to get going with your health and wellness journey.
Awesome. I love that. And you're bringing it after the Day of Love. You're bringing it a few days after Valentine's Day. Is there any?
Hey, and what better way to love on yourself? What better way to love? I know Valentine's is about your loved one, right? But what better way to love yourself? Which is what I like to say, love yourself first and fiercely.
Yes, absolutely. You cannot love anybody else until you love yourself first. And so
absolutely.
I want to thank you for sharing that information. And we enjoyed having you today. I enjoyed, and I learned a lot. I just want to thank you for joining us. I truly appreciate you, Ms. Wright. I would like to thank you just for being here and sharing your time, your insight, your knowledge. This is 20 plus years worth of knowledge. You just can't buy that. You can't box it up. Listen, that's worth more than money. So I just want to thank you for your time today.
Thank you so much for having me, Deidre. I've enjoyed the conversation. I do pray that it has helped someone out there. And I look forward to the Can We Talk audience reaching out to me.
Yes, definitely. And so we want to remind you, if you want to comment under this video, please let us know your thoughts. We want to hear from you. Ms. Wright wants to hear from you. Seedlings Place. She's a health advocate, health and wellness advocate. She's an entrepreneur. She's a vegan. She's doing great things. And so we want to remind you also, if you want to advertise with us, let us know. We want to hear from you. We want to grow. We want to grow, guys. So communicate with us. Our numbers are on the page. We want to hear from you. To those watching via social media, thank you for listening in. Like our page for future notifications of upcoming talk. Comment under our videos. You can also subscribe to our YouTube channel, Can We Talk? We're on Instagram, we're on LinkedIn, we're on Twitter. Follow us on our social handles that are on our page. So we've come to the end of our session. We thank Ms. Wright for joining us today, and all of you who have listened in today from the region. We had Jamaica, we had Trinidad and Tobago. We love you guys. Thank you so much for joining us. And so with that, we come to the end of our session. Remember, let's think, talk, do. Thank you, everyone. Have a good one.
Thank you. Take care.